Okay, it's the 13th of September 2012, and I have to record this stream. So there was some kind of event that involved a little girl being shot up to the moon. I think this had happened before or been attempted before. But it was a really special occasion. It was like a royal occasion. There was trumpeters and everything. I'd won some kind of prize. I don't think I'd won some kind of prize. I think I'd been messed around a little bit, and as such, I was allowed to stand where nobody else was during the event. I had my camera with me, but I didn't have a lot of battery power. I had about as much battery power as I currently have in waking life, in fact. I sort of had one whole battery, one whole cheapy battery charged up, which would give me about 20 minutes, half an hour of footage maybe, and I had a little bit of charge in my main battery. So I didn't have a lot of footage, which annoyed me because I was in a perfect sort of position. I was the only one that could see the little girl's face. And that was interesting because the little girl was clearly petrified. She was just absolutely horrified. She was it was terrible. As a sort of test, at first they had like a one of these rope ride things. I don't know what you call them. It was a piece of string that was kind of set up to look a bit like a rectangle. You had like two corners, and then you had like a little seat hanging from the thing, and it was designed to sort of go really fast. The little girl was strapped into this thing, and most people could only see the back of the little girl because of the way it was set up. And I was the only person that was allowed on a tiny piece of land that would allow you to actually clearly see her face. You could see her face with a zoom lens or a telescope or something, from one angle, but you weren't allowed where I was, where you clearly had the best view. Anyway, she was clearly petrified. And, the thing was designed to go really fast anyway, and apparently it was a safety test. And then it was designed to crash at the end as a safety test to see if she could sort of withstand such vibrations, or whether whatever helmet gear she was wearing could stand such a feat. For some reason, Fred was there, the conference report guy, and he didn't like what you were seeing either. God knows what he was doing there, but there he was, and he was kind of. I saw him in a phone booth, like right by where the little girl was. The little girl was now in like a glass cage, and this doesn't really make a lot of sense because people have seen her. Oh, just as the test happened, there was trumpet, like royal trumpet music, as if to suggest that it had started. Yeah, but anyway, now she was in a cage sort of awaiting her fate, I guess. And she was clearly crying. She didn't want to go through this. Apparently she had been orphaned or something like that, and then somebody had picked her up and decided to use her to make a ton of money in this way. They really were going to shoot her into space. But conference report was somehow on the phone to her. Somehow, I guess she had like a cell phone, and he was saying something about him being her father, and there's nothing to worry about. And no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. He said there's nothing to worry about, we're here for her, and all that sort of thing, and she was clearly comforted by this, and she was clearly really intelligent, and told us what was going on with the politics of the whole issue. And then we must have rescued her, because as far as I can remember, we were in like a living room. A bunch of us were in a living room, and that's when Fred said something about him wanted to become her father, and she was overjoyed. And then he gave us some advice. I think it was something as simple as don't go to the moon or something. Maybe this was what it was. Maybe she actually had some time off. Like, she wasn't kept in this little cage. I think the cage was maybe like another test, or like the chance to take photos or something like that. This little kind of clear plastic box that she seemed to be tied to. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, does it? But his fatherly advice was something like, forget the moon from now on, or something like that. And that was kind of supposed to protect her, I guess. And so she could forget the moon, and it wasn't. It was based on sort of fatherly advice rather than her own decision, sort of thing. And I was stood there kind of, a little bit jelly that I hadn't thought of the father thing first. But, smiling really deeply. It was actually quite moving. And that's all I remember for now. We were in like this big park. I think it was in London. It must have been in London. There might have been a big hoo-ha when she escaped, if she escaped. But I don't remember quite how that happened. Maybe I will at some point. So this clearly has to do with the coming out of the kangaroo girl thing. It's taken me ages to get around to, or to have the recourse to, write something like that. It's taken me days to actually write it up and get it formatted properly, and all the rest of it. I gave it to a friend of mine. I gave a link to a friend of mine, and she got some kind of error. apparently she's had to up her internet security big time because of hackers, and she got like a warning saying it wasn't, it was maybe unsafe. And I've got other friends to, just to go to the link to ask if they had any hassle, and they didn't. And I came to the conclusion that maybe she's got like some kind of security that looks for keywords. I can see her, getting some of that child safe software or something like that, hoping that will protect her a bit more. And that will look for certain keywords which, because of the frankness of, some of my dreams, some if not all of my dreams, those keywords are going to exist in abundance on that website, and that's why she can't get in, and especially on that thread. So, that happened just prior to me falling asleep, and I sent her like a Word document version of it. And yeah, I guess, the obvious reason that Thread was there was, Thread was because of You Doubled, because of, because of You Doubled's role in this Dream Valley project that I'm trying to get off the ground. And because, as I was making the Dream Valley Forum video, I thought this is, I was thinking about Fred. I was thinking, I hope, hopefully this is something that you envision, because he talks about like individual communities sort of coming together and having their own terms of services and all that sort of thing. So I thought, well, here it is. Here's a little sub-community to talk about dream work, And at the moment, the Digital Kangaroo Girl, this seems like another Digital Kangaroo Girl. Dream, ironically, in that case. Then, of course, it's and in that case, seeing as Fred as the kind of founder of You Doubled, you could argue that he's almost like a grandfather of Dream Valley, even though that doesn't really work, because it kind of started on YouTube, and all that sort of thing. I am more fond of linking, and using You Doubled when I can, and embedding videos from there. I don't know if this happened to anybody else, but YouTube linked my Google Plus account to my YouTube channel, so now instead of being Fifoco, I'm Fluttershy Pony, which is great. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but that doesn't really affect the Dream Valley thing anyway. But yeah, and then there's a whole thing of her being, a child, and a clearly abused child. one that's clearly being used for sort of governmental gain, and everybody's none the wiser. Everybody's just watching it on television and sort of hanging around the streets a little bit like it's a bloody silver jubilee or something, and nobody's any the wiser about how this little girl is being treated. It's just sort of a gimmick, and we're the only ones that we're the only ones that know, and we do kind of stand out, and we do make a nuisance of ourselves. We do stand out, and we do get revelation for this little girl. So I don't know. The little girl could represent the little girl, or the pseudo little girl on on the images that were sent to me, or they could represent myself or you doubled or both. These little baby websites which you doubled is certainly growing, and hopefully Dream Valley will go in a similar direction. So and the and with it the idea of you doubled is sort of giving it to YouTube, which is a big organization which who obviously act like a prick a lot of the time and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a comparable situation. So to me and my digital kangaroo girl situation, I'd like to get that thread. In fact, memory just come in. I seem to recall somebody mentioning there being a lot of duplicates of that thread. Somebody was telling me off. They didn't like the thread at all. I think they managed to take it down, from the forums itself or something like that. But by that time, it had been mirrored to pieces, and they were going, they were saying, see, you caused a problem, see, it's been mirrored, and how are we supposed to take it down? And I was like, oh, good. I hope it stays up there for good. The idea is that as many people read that sort of thread as possible. And there's another one possibly brewing. I've got a bit of an issue with a local pub at the moment, which is in the process of being resolved, but haven't really had any dreams about that, apart from maybe to a degree this one. But yeah, you get a general idea. It's it's people like Fred, and people to a lesser extent like me, who are trying to prevent, who are just trying to prevent, little girls being blown to the moon by, the government for, for some sort of gain and brainwashing all of the, most of the world and all that sort of thing, including me, to be honest, in the dream, until, I actually saw her face, I was there to sort of enjoy myself. That's the only way I guess I repeated myself. So, yeah, I thought that was fairly interesting.